Let's start the prayer session with 3 rounds of Omkara. Starting prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Veeryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. गणपति मूल मंत्र ओम हम संगम भगवते नित्य योग युक्ताय सच्चिदानंद रूपिणे विनायकाय नमः. दक्षिणामूर्ति गुरु स्तोत्र. ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्ति भेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्त देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. विवेकानंद प्रार्थना. नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय prayer for harmony from Rigveda. Sangachatvam samvadatvam sambho manamsi janatam deva bhagayata purve sanjanana upasate samano mantra samiti समानं मनसः चित्तमेषां समानं मन्त्रमभिमन्त्रेव समानेन वो हविषाजुहोमि समानीव आकुतिः समाना हृदयानि वः समानमस्तु वो मनः यथा वस्तु सहासति. पंचांगम अद्यतन पंचांगम पंचविंशत्यधिक एकशतोत्तर पंचसहस्रतम कलियुगाब्दः श्री शोभकृत् नाम संवत्सरः दक्षिणायनं वर्ष ऋतुः अधिक श्रावण मासः कृष्ण पक्षः द्वितीया तिथिः धनिष्ठा नक्षत्रं सौभाग्य योगः तैतिलकरणं बृहस्पति वासरः. Today's date 3rd August 2023 Thursday. तिथेश्च श्रियमाप्नोति वारायुष्यवर्धनम् नक्षत्राधरते पापं योगाद्रोगनिवारणम् करणात् कार्यसिद्धिश्च पञ्चाङ्गफलमुत्तमम्. सर्वेषां शुभमस्तु. श्लोका फ्रॉम गीता. दिवि सूर्यसहस्रस्य भवेद्युगपदुत्थिता यदि बाह सदृश सदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः. Meaning, if 1,000 suns were to blaze forth together in the sky, they would not match the splendor of the great form.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Suprabhatam. First we will see the word split. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhave Yugapat Uddhita Yadi Bhaha Sadrishi Sa Syat Bhasaha Tasya Mahatmanaha. The plain word meaning Surya Sahasrasya. Surya is sun, Sahasra is 1,000. 1,000 sun. Where does the sun normally shine forth? Divi, in the heaven or in the sky. So in the sky, 1,000 suns, Yugapat, at the same time, Uddhita, rise, Bhave. If that happens, if the rising of thousands of suns happen at the same moment, simultaneously, if 1,000 suns rise at the same time in the sky, Yadi Bhaha, that kind of light, that kind of brightness, so that is Sadrishi, similar to that, Sadrishi Sasyat. So that kind of similarity is the similarity of Tasya Mahatmanaha, of that great cosmic being, Bhasaha, the illumination. So in the previous shloka, you have seen that Bhagavan has granted the Divya Drishti to Arjuna, and then Arjuna is now experiencing the cosmic form of Bhagavan, Bhagavan Narayana, Shri Krishna, Vasudeva, and then the experience of Arjuna is clarified here. If 1,000 suns rise at the same moment, what will be the experience? Such brightness, such illumination Arjuna was experiencing of this. So you can see there are so many dimensions, so many aspects to reflect upon on this shloka. Now currently one very popular Hollywood movie is running, which is, many have told, Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is a very popular Hollywood movie which has been recently released, and in that movie you see this shloka, Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhavet Yugapad Uddhita. It is not just an addition for the movie, it really happened in the life of the atomic scientist, Robert Oppenheimer. When America, before dropping the atom bomb over which country? Japan, on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were testing the atom bomb, and then in one of the tests, atom bomb tests which were happening in one of the arid regions of United States, Robert Oppenheimer was watching the blast, atom bomb test blast, and when the huge blast happened and subsequent fire and light and nuclear cloud arose. So he was watching from a safe distance, Robert Oppenheimer, and he was reminded of this shloka, exactly this shloka. When that blast and light and energy he experienced, that kind of energy was what Arjuna was also experiencing when he was seeing the Vishwarupa Darshana. See, there have been many Western scientists who have been inspired by the thoughts of Bhagavad Gita. If Robert Oppenheimer was reminded of this Bhagavad Gita on this particular nuclear blast, there was another scientist who was Fritjof Capra, who was lying on the beach and who was looking at the sky, and there he was a physicist. So when he was thinking about his the nuclear, the physics and the atoms and subatomic particles, suddenly when he was looking at the empty sky, suddenly he was reminded of the Nataraja form. If you observe the Nataraja form, Nataraja of which god? Shiva, yes. So if Dakshinamurti is one form of Shiva, Nataraja is another form of Shiva, where you can see the wavy form of Shiva being presented. He himself is dancing. So he was reminded of that Nataraja form, which indicates the cosmic dance of the subatomic particles. So in this way, our literature, especially texts like Bhagavad Gita, when they speak about the philosophical truths, they also inspire so many scientists and physicists. They are so powerful, so applicable, they can relate it to it. The physicists, the scientists, nuclear, atomic scientists, they can all relate to this. That is why we call it as Vishwato Mukham, the multi-dimensional nature of our Vedic, yogic and the Vedantic literature. So while it is applicable to the Samadhi experience, as spoken by Guruji yesterday, as this represents the Samadhi experience at a spiritual plane, at a physical plane, it reminds us of the terrible nuclear explosion and the energy that it releases. So that's why in our Shastras we see that Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika, at various levels we can interpret, understand the so many shlokas, and it inspires people of various walks of life. This is one dimension from this shloka. There are many more such dimensions. For example, see, Surya is an Aradhya Devata. Surya is whom we meditate upon in our Gayatri mantra, in the Sandhya Vandana every day while the sun rises. The Surya is the Upasya Devata. If in other particular religious setups, if you say there are 1,000 suns, it would amount to blasphemy. How can you say there are 1,000 suns? There is only one sun, one God. It is 1,000 suns are possible, and such ideas are expressed in our tradition. That's why we say in the similar tone we say Surya Koti Samaprabha. Ganesha is the brightness of Ganesha is spoken as Surya Koti Samaprabha. Similarly, we see Surya Sahasrasya, and in the Vedas also, Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. So the Vedas themselves, they glorify the brightness, the light, the illumination. So from that Vedic inspiration, there is openness to express one's ideas. I think in 2003, in Prashanti Kutiram itself, I was part of a conference, World Vedic Conference, which happened here. One of the scientists, there was a lady who was a scientist, she presented an idea about the concept of sunspots. You know sunspots? There is a concept called sunspots. Even in the brightest sun, there are dark spots. Because of extreme combustion that happens of the helium, there are certain spots in the sun which are black. So one can, through imaging, thermal imaging and other things, one can look at that sunspots. So sunspots in ancient Indian literature. In 2003 this happened, and I was witnessing this as a student. I was sitting there, and that scientist spoke that even if the sunspots were there, and even if the ancient Indians knew that, they will not admit, because Surya is their Upasya Devata. Will they ever admit a blemish in their God? It is not possible. This is the view she presented. But immediately there were scholars like Professor Ramanujan from CDAC. So he immediately quoted shlokas, mantras from the Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, Taittiriya Samhita, stating that the sunspots, the idea of sunspots are very clearly, explicitly mentioned in the Vedas. So the point here is, there are two aspects in our literature, in our ancient Indian knowledge systems. When we speak about Indian knowledge systems, there are two dimensions. One is the flowery story, Puranic, mythological descriptions. But there is a lot of scientific literature in the Vedas also. While in eclipse we say the Rahu swallows the sun, or the Ketu swallows the sun, Is that the view of ancient India? No. Rahu and Ketu, if you examine in the Jyotisha literature, you will find they are the nodes of the moon, the shade of or the shadow of the moon, and all those things are the descriptions of Rahu and Ketu. For common man understanding, it is portrayed as a demon which is swallowing the sun, etc. But there is also equally scientific literature which speaks that there are the movements of the sun, the movement of the shadow of the earth, and so on and so forth. That is what is portrayed by Rahu and Ketu. That is the beauty of Indian knowledge systems. So which allows description of 100 suns, 1000 suns, sunspots, and so on and so forth. That's why systems like yoga, systems like Ayurveda, and many other systems, they expanded their horizons, their frontiers expanded. Such knowledge could expand and explode because there was no taboo in expressing one's knowledge. You can say 1000 suns, you can say 100 suns, you can say crores of suns. That knowledge freedom, that democracy in expression of knowledge that was allowed, which is indicated here, which resulted in the massive Indian knowledge systems, which is now being greatly accepted, revered, and globally accepted all over the world and seriously pursued in the current educational scenario. And this shloka is one such indication towards that end. Thank you.
I'm very happy that Professor Jayaraman sir mentioned about the CDAC and then how the scientist Dr. Ramanujam refuted the presence about the sunspots in the sun, because we have very senior members, senior managers and their engineers from CDAC coming for a 3-day workshop wellness program to S-VYASA. We heartily welcome all the members of the CDAC family. Thank you very much for your coming. And then we cordially invite and then we request the Sri Muthukumar, the finance director of the CDAC Bangalore, to come and then hoist the flag as a representative of CDAC Bangalore. CDAC, as you all know, we have our association, S-VYASA's association with CDAC is now quite a quite long one. Yes, sir. They have come here last year. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't get the name correctly. That it is Mr. Sudhakar, the finance director, who is going to come. Thank you very much, sir. Our association with the CDAC has been long-standing, and then they have come and demonstrated their drone developed by the CDAC during the World Cup of Yogasanas in December 2022. So we welcome all of you, sir, and hope you will have a very fruitful wellness program from the S-VYASA. Kindly voice the flag.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kashchid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नाम की वंदे